All right, today is a great day to learn about inequalities. Quick little note-taking tip. Whenever you are writing notes, make sure you label your header so that way it's easy to find the information. See if that helps. They're a little fuzzy today. There we go. It's also helpful if you label the date, especially if you have study buddies, so that way you can tell them what they missed when they were absent. So, inequalities. Usually inequalities are just equations with different signs in the middle. So we have 4 different signs. Let's start with the first 2. This is our less than sign. So it means that this thing is less than this thing, okay? And this right here is our greater than sign, which means this thing is greater than this thing. There are 2 more signs, but they're essentially the same idea. So, if you're familiar with an equal sign, we'll do a little side note up here. An equal sign has 2 lines, right? Well, for our less than or equal to, what they do is they take the less than sign, and then they take part of this equal sign and put it underneath there. And the reason they do that is because it means less than or equal to. So they're going to do the same thing for your greater than sign. You'll put the greater than, then that other part of the equal sign, and that'll give you greater than or equal to. A lot of times in elementary school, you'll hear these as alligator signs, so they're going to eat the bigger number. That kind of helps you realize what side the bigger number is going to be on. They think of these things like little mouths, and they can eat the bigger number. And if that helps you remember, go ahead and use that. When you're graphing these on a number line, there are certain little circles you have to use that tell us which sign is in our equation. So for less than, you'll graph with an open. For greater than, you'll graph with an open. For less than or equal to, it's called closed, and you're going to color it in. And then for greater than or equal to, it's called closed, and you'll color it in. The reason that it's colored in for these 2 is because the number that you plot first actually counts. Alright, let's do some examples. So, our first example is going to be 8 is less than W plus 5.5. So basically just solving this like a regular equation. So in case we don't remember, you get rid of your distribution property things first, and then you combine your like terms. Now we don't have any distribution. Remember, distribution is parentheses, so we don't see any parentheses, so we're going to skip straight to combine like terms. I'm going to stick with that strategy where I draw my line of opposites or my barrier to help me remember when I move across the barrier, I do the opposite to both sides. I want to get my constants on the same side, so I'm going to move my little plus 5.5 over to his friend. I'm going to cross the line of opposites, so I'm going to take it away. Then I'm copying everything else down to make sure I don't drop anything or miss anything. Now I'm going to do 8 minus 5.5 in my handy-dandy calculator, and that'll give me 2.5. Then bringing down my less than W. And we are actually done because W is all by itself. Now some people like to rewrite it, so they like to write it with the W on the left side. All you have to do when you do that is make sure you flip the sign so it's still open or eating that W. Now the last step when you're graphing inequalities with one variable is to graph it on a number line. I always like to put my rock star number in the middle, so my rock star number here is 2.5 because that's what's in my expression. On the right side, I'm going to put a number that's slightly bigger. On the left side, I'm going to put a number that's slightly smaller. Looking up at my notes here, I see that it is going to be an open circle, which means the 2.5 does not count. And all the numbers greater than 2.5 are going to be on the right side. So that is our line that represents our situation. It's also number 1 on your little study guide.